Yo, this is your man Don Calloway with a quick thought on the Republican presidential primary, and specifically I want to focus on the three politicians of color. First, let's start with Red State Andrew Yang, aka Vivek Ramaswamy. I've seen him sit down in really high magnitude forums over the last 6 months or so since he's gotten his name out there, and for a Harvard graduate who is as articulate and as forceful of a speaker as he is, I find him to be a deeply unserious person. I have not really heard any real ideas come from him. That's why I call him Red State Andrew Yang, because he's effectively taking the novel character, was not in politics, I'm a minority type angle, but he's saying crazy shit. That's the problem. He told Don Lemon on CNN that black people won emancipation in this country and have won their rights because of the proliferation and stronghold of the Second Amendment, which is just garbage. First of all, he says climate change is a hoax, but his plan to improve the climate, why do you need a plan if climate change is a hoax? But his plan for improving energy efficiency in this country is for everybody to invest in better window units, air conditioning window units. So, real comprehensive plan there. And he's running around rapping Eminem at the Iowa State Fair. But shout out to Eminem for hitting him with that good cease and desist on that. He has, with a serious and straight face, suggested cutting the federal workforce by 75%, which to me fundamentally suggested you don't know what you're doing. Let's move on past Red State Andrew Yang, aka Vivek Ramaswamy. Now let's talk a little bit about former ambassador to the United Nations and former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is actually a serious person, but I find that she has made some comments which, in my mind, disqualify her from being president of the United States as well. A couple months ago, she went on a long rant about how Barack Obama was deeply responsible for having torn the country apart because of his racism and focus on race equity and things like that. That type of stuff is really red meat to the deeply conservative right, who believes that white supremacy is not real, white nationalism is not real, frankly, racism is not real. And I was really disappointed in her as a person of color, her being a woman, her being a person who actually was instrumental in bringing some peace to her state after the Charleston massacre at Mother Emanuel AME. But for her to say some of the things since then that she has on race, how America needs to move past race, about how race is not real, it's just really disappointing from a person who represents such a black state. But let's talk a little bit about her personal history. Her parents were immigrants, and her parents were given chances by a black community in South Carolina. Her father could not get a job at the Clemsons or the University of South Carolinas or any other school down there, but who gave him a job? Voorhees College, a tiny HBCU that a lot of folks have never heard of. Voorhees College made her father a full professor. Not only that he was able to practice his trade, but he was able to feed his children through being a professor at an HBCU. And number two, Nikki Haley's mother had a clothing store called Exotica. There was a location in Columbia and there was a location in Bamberg. And the patrons of that clothing store were almost exclusively black women. These were the super voters, the aunties wearing the sequin baseball caps and, the dresses and the caftans that your mama and auntie and them used to wear. Exclusively black woman clientele. Every black woman of a certain age knows exactly what Exotica is and was, and they know that it's Nikki Haley's people. But black people have wrapped that family in their arms in South Carolina. So for her to say that Barack Obama set us back and doing all this kind of kowtowing to white supremacists on race is very disappointing when her personal family history is one of being supported and loved and embraced by a black community. Thanks for joining a quick thought on Vivek Ramaswamy and Governor Nikki Haley. Come back on Friday and we'll discuss my man, Senator Tim Scott. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black, that's everybody from sports to college class to rap.